And welcome to April 24th daily Recoup check-in with Sid and Sweets. I am Sid, this is Sweets, and today is Friday's stand-up to talk about the week. We have an hour-ish and talk about what we built and what we're building next. So let's kick it off. Sweets, how was your week?
Built a lot of stuff this week. How was your week?
Nice. Oh, wait, let's get into what's the question that you always ask? The one word.
In one word, how are you feeling today? And in one sentence, what do you need today?
Yeah, let's do it.
I feel hydrated, and I need Sid to step back into knowing what direction he wants his company to go and what he needs devs to build.
Clarity.
What about you?
I feel heavy. There's a lot of emotional heaviness going on this week between us, between family stuff. So I'm very heavy this week. What do I need? I think I need clarity as well. I need some clarity on your commitment and expectations and alignment on all fronts, so that we can execute better. So yeah. Before we jump into what's been shipped and all that stuff, do you want to catch up on kind of where we left off 2 days ago with the current commitments and structure and where we're at, how you're feeling, and just kind of continue that conversation?
Yeah, that sounds like an excellent place to start. Do you have a certain MIQ or desire to navigate the conversation around?
Yeah. The MIQ is, what do you need from me to feel most aligned on this project? I guess from me is a constraining word in that sentence. So really just, what do you need to feel aligned on this project? Financially, emotionally, shipping wise, partnership wise, all of that. I'm trying to get clarity on what you need, where you're at, what you need.
The question we asked last time was what needs to change for our priorities to be realigned. Feels like an expansion on that one. What I wrote down coming into this meeting, I wrote down 3 things. 1, we can shift from 5 meetings a week to 1 meeting a week. That way I can properly orient my time around all of the projects that are demanding my weekly attention. Having 5 right now is causing me to orient every day around Recoup, while Recoup is actually the lowest paying project and not aligned with the other projects. Going down to 1 gives me space to continue shipping with Recoup while giving me more space to focus on Coinbase, on Base, on Coop Records, on the groups of musicians like Latasha Excellencia, Heno, and others, and still shipping at the cadence that we're at. 2, now align Recoup with Base and Coinbase. Stop pushing this away. Directly understand what Base and Coinbase are asking from me on a weekly basis, and Sid directly orients what the priorities are for the dev team around what Base is asking from me and Coinbase is asking from me. That allows Recoup to directly get back into the visibility of Coinbase and Base because we actually align ourselves with them. 2, it allows me to commit more days to building on Recoup so that I can actually, when I'm building out Coinbase, I'm continuing to build out Recoup. And then third, we could go back from retainer, which is what we're on right now of monthly payments. We can shift back into milestones if you would prefer to. The financial burden is too high, you're not happy with what's been shipped, give you the position to clearly define what it is you're looking for. I price it out, and then we go back to you. You're already familiar with this. I deliver to you a proposal. I estimate how long it's going to take. We build in a couple of weeks of feedback. I ship towards the set of milestones that we define, and we do a deposit at the start, maybe milestone payments, or maybe just percentage up front, percentage at the end, that allows you to define expectations and not pay unless those expectations are shipped towards. And it allows me to be able to properly price out the asks that are coming from me and drive towards those, instead of right now where it's been priorities are changing on a weekly basis. And those are the three. Shift from 5 meetings per week down to 1 meeting per week. Align Recoup with Coinbase and Base now, not in the future. Or shift from retainer into weekly milestones.
Maybe write this down. Okay, cool. 1 meeting per week, align Recoup with Base and Coinbase, shift to retainer, from retainer to weekly milestone. Understood and very clear. I want to double click on something you said last time and just be 100% clear on how this affects the relationships moving forward when it comes to founder, co-founder relationship. And you had mentioned you're not interested in a co-founder role. So I want to just make sure that this is like, did I hear that clear? Are we on the same page that you would prefer to step back and not be considered co-founder on this, and more of a work for hire type situation?
Yep.
Okay, understood. And then the other question that I have around this is we're aligned on everything. We can go to the 1 meeting per week. We can go to figure out how to align Recoup around Base. My biggest concern or question mark really right now is when shifting to the retainer and weekly milestones. I just want to make sure that it's you working on the code, and or be very clear about who's working on the code, so that we don't find ourselves in this situation like January, where there was a bunch of tech debt and then we had to re-architecture stuff. So are you still in this new model? Are you still planning on working on the code?
If that's something that's important for the requirements, it can stay in the requirements that it's my hands-on code.
Got it. Okay, cool. And then just so I'm clear on moving forward, is there a number or is there a milestone to work towards that where you would feel comfortable full-time on this, where you would feel comfortable dropping everything and going all in on Recoup? Or is that just something that's not in the picture? You want to leave your options on the table?
I am setting up my career to be delta neutral. The last full-time job I had was Mint Songs, and they let me go a day before my equity was going to vest. And then they sold to Napster in a way that even if I had equity, it wouldn't have mattered. So I'm seeing anything that I'm building towards, there is yet to be anything that is proving to have sustainable income to make equity worth anything. So in order for that conversation to even come on the table, I need you to show that you can build recurring revenue as a salesperson. In the past, you have shown project-based income from record labels. I don't know if I've ever seen from you building recurring income. So before that conversation even comes into my view, I need to see that you are able to build a sales pipeline and a financial pipeline that is on a monthly basis building recurring stable income such that it makes sense for me to consider leaving the stable place I'm in right now of navigating multiple projects where I don't need to depend on one, to consider leaving the stability that I have for deeper risk, investing all of my time on one single project.
Got it. So yeah, even what you're saying, even for clarity, even equity aside, the stability is in of committing to one thing requires longer proof that the traction is stable and it's not going anywhere, which makes sense because of your past experiences. I completely understand. Like, that must have sucked to put all your eggs in a basket that disappears overnight and you have no control over.
And they had $3 million in the bank. So would you consider yourself close to having $3 million in the bank for Recoup at this time?
No, and I don't think that. Yeah, I mean, 3 million or not, like, yes, safety and security. There's a lot of variables. So I again, I completely understand where you're coming from, and this is all. This is all. I'm glad we can have these discussions. I'm glad building the relationship with you transparently. I'm glad that you're able to and feel like you can come and say how you're feeling to me, and vice versa. And so, yeah, I just want to continue that momentum. I want to get back to shipping. I want to get back to doing what's best for the business. So yeah, I'm cool with all of this stuff. With that being said, do you have any questions for me, or anything you want me that you need alignment from me before we move on to how this new system will work? What are how we can kind of reorient our meetings around this new system and workflow?
I posed the original options as either one of three. We can pick any one of the three, but only one of the three need to change.
Oh, okay. That was not clear. I thought it was all three.
No,
okay.
If we want to change all of them, we can, but any one of those three will help. Right now, I have 4 projects that are expecting me to be shipping on a more or less daily basis, and that without there being any overlap needs to change because the pressure is continuing to build and I only have 24 hours in a day to ship.
Okay. So then we have more stuff to talk about around this topic. I thought it was all the 3. Mm-hmm. But I think like a very, like, it doesn't need to be one or the other. Maybe it's a variation of all 3. Or I mean,
those are the 3 options that I had in my mind, and I'd love to hear if you have options that we haven't talked about yet. But those are 3 cards that I think we could navigate around that would help redistribute my current 24-hour load into a more sustainable practice.
Which one of these will bring you the most grounding? Like, which one has the most upside for your mental and ability to ship and have a happy life?
I would prefer number 2. That was the original plan when I accepted these contracts, and I would prefer to be doing that. If not one option, if not option 2 of aligning base with Coinbase now, shifting from 5 meetings down to 1 meeting. That way I can properly spend the time I need on base and Coinbase, knowing that there is no immediate plans to build on base and Coinbase within the Recoup project. Or if neither of those 2 feel like options, then shift into retainer or shift into milestones and re-talk about how pricing needs to happen for however many weekly meetings per week we want to have. I would prefer to not do that. It's harder accounting and it's more time spent on planning and aligning on price rather than just like this is what we pay and this is what we get out of paying that the monthly retainer. So orders, I would prefer align Recoup with base and Coinbase immediately for the following week. That would be my best preference.
Amazing. Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that that's the best place to start. I also think that like we can, we're probably not going to get it right the first time around, or we're going to have to work towards getting the alignment right and in order. So like, I'm also not opposed to the idea of going from 5 meetings a week to 3, like maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and so that way you kind of also can focus on other things on Tuesdays and Thursdays and not be fully consumed while we try to figure out and align Recoup around Base and Coinbase moving forward. If that's something that would help. I just want to make I want to do what I can to help you feel like you're shipping clearly and you're not overwhelmed. Because it's pointless to have 5 meetings a week if 3 of them you're feeling frustrated and you're thinking about other things.
I agree.
So why don't we do that? Why don't we do Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and then we start to align Recoup around Base and Coinbase, and we start to talk. We spend more time talking about how to align Recoup around Base and Coinbase, and I'm cool with those 2 things and starting there. Are you cool with that?
Yes.
Awesome. So let's talk about that. Let's spend some time talking about how can we align Recoup around Base and Coinbase moving forward into this next month. You want to talk on a monthly timeline, or is week to week easier?
Week to week is easier because those are the priorities that are given to me from the Coinbase and Base team. They each send me a prompt on the weekend, and then I build towards that over the week.
Okay, got it. So we haven't received the prompt this week.
For next week, no, but I do have this week's prompt, and it's for now. I think it's fine to be lagging a week on the priorities because it's more or less still what those teams are focused on.
Got it. So it could be like a week next. Okay, so then let's talk about what was last week's prompt, and we can talk about how we can align it with Recoup.
Coinbase's prompt is for their wallet API v2. And for Base, it is MiniKit. I'll briefly share screen on both of those. There's Telegram from Lincoln. You sent it to me up here. Wallet API v2 is them shifting. Before we had to like store a text file in our server and it wasn't across all the chains. It was only on one network. And so now private keys are not managed in a text file in our local machine. Coinbase is storing them inside of a trusted execution environment. It supports all the networks and all accounts. And so we can spin up multiple accounts, 1 account per person that signs in. We can support multiple networks, Base and other networks. We can use gas sponsorship, which is how I've already been preferring. And then I see this immediately as if we are building on chain, the agents we are building need to be able to at least need to be able to sign transactions.
Agreed.
Using the wallet API would allow us to do that. It's all entirely free to use. in doing this aligns with what they're doing. I tried building this out today and there were some errors. So right now I'm inside of the Coinbase Discord and talking in the Coinbase chat that they have set up with me. They've confirmed that I'm doing everything right and the errors on their side. I have a feeling the reason for their bug is the error I'm getting back is authentication error. And I have a feeling because this is still in alpha, they have to manually approve my account in order to use this API. And so once they approve my account, I should be good to start working on this. Any questions on Wallet v2 API before I move on to MiniKit?
Yeah. Agents can send transactions was like the main use case that you had mentioned.
Yep.
I agree, and I like. Just give me spitball other use cases for Wallet API. One sentence, simple use cases. Agents can send and receive funds.
Yeah. So that's a subset of sending transactions.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want more subsets of sending transactions or unique things outside of sending transactions?
Either or.
Outside of sending transactions, I'm having trouble visualizing. I think that's the whole purpose of a wallet is you receive funds and then you can do things with those funds, which is sending transactions. Other subsets, so send and receive USDC, publish art on chain. And so when we plug in OpenAI's art generation, being able to sign a transaction to publish that either as a coin on Zora, if we like ERC20s, or as a token on in process. So publishing content on chain, sending and receiving US dollars, USDC.
They can manage. Yeah, it's all signing transactions, so you can manage. Funds for other.
Yeah, like it could be. I don't like the idea of trading, but it could be automated trading on the back end of optimizing a portfolio. We're getting into like trading and financial management, and I don't think that's our strong suit as a team. So I think staying on the creative side, publishing on chain, managing funds that I've received on chain.
I like it. The first thing I thought of was because like I had a call with the Rostam Records guy, Benji. He was talking about his distribution company and how like they're about to I don't know exactly know the timeline, but it's probably right around on-chain summer. And talking about how he's gonna be able to feed that, asking if we can feed that data into Recoup so that his label, he's thinking of Recoup from this terms of like feeding in data and using it as like the core operations for his label infrastructure and like his teams. But there's also a world of like, if we're able to tap into the API of a distributor and like there's our link to on-chain distribution and royalty management, because that's where all of the funds are held when Spotify pays out, is in a distributor. Like, and so that's like step one of being able to connect to an artist's income stream from streaming and then redistribute. And the first thing I thought of when you were talking is like, okay, well, how would I leverage Web3 to be able to pay out artists faster, right? Because right now, an artist who may have a 10 million streams doesn't see that money immediately. They see it once it goes through Spotify's processing, then it goes through the distributor's processing, and then it goes to their wallet, and it hits 1,000 other middlemen, etc. But like there is like a financial lever of Web3 that like could, using pools to fund I don't know, I'm thinking through this. Okay, but anyways, to get back to what I was saying, I agree including wallet API into Recoup so that agents can sign transactions is is important. And I'm trying to think of like what's the actual use case that we can use it on immediately. And I keep going back to like the one artist that we can control and won't say no to us experimenting on is Chill Pill.
Right.
So like thinking through like, okay, cool. Like we have Chill Pill. What would how do we use Chill Pill as a case study to send and to trigger an agent to sign to sign things on chain? The first thing that you had mentioned was, okay, cool. Like Chill Pill, any image Chill Pill creates, the agent automatically signs the transaction to then put it on Zora.
Right.
Or in process.
Yep, wherever. Some protocol to publish it so that the provenance is there, which you don't get with ChatGPT and others. When I go to ChatGPT and I generate an image, if ChatGPT uses that in their ads, there's no way for me to go back and say, I did that first. They could mess with the data.
Oh my God, I love it.
If every single time we generate an image, one, we're already going to store it on Arweave, which is one, on-chain storage, but two, we publish it. Doesn't even matter if it's for sale. Just publish it with no ability to sale, but just publish it. Use the wallet, because we can give everybody a wallet. Use the specific wallet of that privy sign-in to publish it on chain. We've now linked, you generated an image, we publish it on chain. If we or anybody else ever uses it, you always have a claim on that to say, I have a reference transaction, I can reference it here, I can look up my wallet and I can see everything that has ever been published. So it's a grouping mechanism for me to be able to look up everything, every image I've ever done, as well as a provenance claim for me to be able to say, if anybody ever uses that, here's an on-chain transaction proving I did it first that nobody can mess with or fudge with or lie about.
I love it. I also love it because the infrastructure also allows us to then start to use it for any IP generated in Recoup. And I'm going immediately to the DAW because all of those samples can be on chain. It's kind of what Arpeggio was trying to do originally.
Yep.
Like every sample I generate should be considered mine. And so like enabling setting up that infrastructure so IP can be tracked and managed by the agents. I like it. I really like it. So step one is images.
Yep.
I know you already set up images.
I set it up with Dolly, and so now I'll need to update it to use their actual ChatGPT's actual image gen. But I'll update it to use image gen, plug it in as a tool, and then immediate follow-up is plug in Wallet API v2, and then have Wallet API v2 invisibly post that on a protocol on chain every single time an image is generated. I've wrapped that into one single weekly task, image gen plus Wallet API v2.
Yeah, fire. I love it. And it's like a great infrastructure to start.
And this is still in alpha, so we're going to be one of the first teams rolling this out next week, which aligns us very well with what Coinbase wants to amplify. And so this is great, two birds, one stone, in my opinion. And it's not even working. I'm trying to use this and it's not right now. So me working with that team, it is aligning my work in a much stronger fashion.
Fire.
Anything else on wallets for this next week before we move on to MiniKit?
Let's do it. MiniKit.
So Base has built out MiniKit. And as you heard from Brad, their goal for On-Chain Summer is going to be to highlight apps in the new Coinbase wallet app. And so MiniKit is the easiest way to build mini apps on Base. It allows developers to easily build applications without knowing the details. Seamlessly works with OnChainKit and Coinbase wallet specific hooks. What it really means is it allows us to be a mini app on both Farcaster and on Base. We just wrap our existing app with it, and then it makes it so that all of Recoup can then be opened up inside of Farcaster. And then when Base launches its new wallet app, it will then also be able to open up Recoup directly inside of Base's app. And so really this is a distribution play. Right now, thinking the hypothesis is the agent is the interface. And so right now we've really been heavily focused on our web interface, but we're already starting to see Paloma's asking for the Telegram interface. This gives us another distribution channel for, instead of when I share Recoup links on Farcaster, they tap it and it links them out to a browser. They open it up indirectly inside of their feed. They are able to access Recoup. The wallet is already signed in from Farcaster. And so, yeah, MiniKit is really just wrapping the existing Recoup app so that it can be distributed both inside of Farcaster and inside of Base in less than a day of build. It's just going to be wrapping the app.
I like it. And yeah, it's easy. And it also like ties into the other deliverable of wallet API, because if our app is a mini app and you can generate images that are on chain, that's like a fun, easy, simple app that it makes sense to be in featured. So it's like we're killing two birds with one stone there too. We're not only, you can play our app, but you're also using Coinbase's wallet V2 when you're using our app. So I like it.
And so if I can do these things, image gen might be Monday. Tuesday, our off day on a call. I focus on wallet API V2 to expand image gen, focus on Recoup. Coinbase and Basegit, this is an actual app. This isn't some prototype that he's spinning up just for a demo. This is actually an app that is in production and they are actively selling to customers. Integrate the wallet API V2, and then every image that gets generated in the future is doing on-chain transactions. They don't need any, there's no pop-ups, there's nothing that slows it down. Nobody that uses Recoup knows or needs to know that anything's on-chain. It's just an invisible way for us to be doing things on-chain. Wednesday is another open day. We still haven't filled in what we want to do on that. Maybe more error fixes are actually what we do on Monday. Maybe more error fixes are what I actually do on Tuesday. I want to make sure errors are still in there if chat errors are still a priority for next week. And then Thursday, I do MiniKit. I wrap Recoup in MiniKit. And so by the end of next week, everybody who signs in automatically gets a wallet. They don't even need to know, just like when they sign in with Privy, they don't know that there was a Privy wallet. We're now going to be using the Coinbase wallet even behind that. When they're generating images, those images are published on chain. They don't need to know that they're published on chain. We don't need to show that anywhere in the app. It's just something that we know and we're doing under the covers. And then they can also, when I can share the link on Friday on Farcaster, people can open up Recoup, and now we have a whole new line of customers of people who like mini apps and are playing with apps inside of Farcaster all day because they're getting paid to use Farcaster. I'm still getting paid $3 on a weekly basis just for being in the top 2,000 people on Farcaster. Those people who are clicking buttons will now be clicking Recoup's button, which is more signups, which ties into our quarterly goal of once they've signed up and they've started a new chat, we then want to keep them engaged for our quarter goal of maximizing the retention of people who are chatting. If we do those, if I'm allowed to prioritize those two things, that gives me great overlap with what Coinbase and Base are asking for. And that opens up the rest of this call to focus on, outside of those things, what changes Sid needs me to focus on in order for him to feel satisfied with the product that is being delivered. Are there anything else you want to talk about on the wallet API V2 or on MiniKit or on the fact that I've written those down as weekly priorities before we kind of put Coinbase and Base? Often we focus purely on Recoup's goals.
No, we're good. I agree.
Thank you for allowing us to start with this. This is one of the heavier things that weighs on my mind, is having to go outside of this time and plan what I'm going to do with Base and Coinbase, and you making it a priority and ideating with me it takes a major burden off my shoulders. So thank you.
So let's you're welcome. And thank you for bringing it up. And let's always start there on all of these Friday calls. We should never get into anything before you feel like you're very clear at how Recoup and Base and Coinbase are tied together the week. And please be fully transparent on these calls of saying, I still am unclear. Like, don't let, because you know me, I'm going to have a million ideas. So like, don't let me have a million ideas until you're like, okay, but like, we can't move on to any of Sid's crazy new ideas or, whatever, until like there's clarity around what we're doing next week with Coinbase and Base and Recoup. Like that, I think that should be step one. Unless there's $100,000 on the table, and
Yes. Agreed.
Cool. All right. The only other thing that I think is the main focus is the bug, or is just getting
errors.
Yeah, chats work. Errors, chats work. How do we just increase the amount of time? Errors. How do we increase errors?
Decrease errors, right?
Yeah, decrease. How do we increase more error?
Cool. Should I pull up the chat and we talk through the errors, or have you already done your summary for us to know what the key errors are right now?
I have not done the summary. I got caught up this week in other stuff and have not. No, let's pull it up and do it manually. That's what I was going to do it anyways.
You want to drive or should I drive?
Can you drive? I'll write
Yep.
and do the math.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to Recoup. Let me make this a little bit smaller. There we go. Not sharing as many messages. All right, this week started on the 20th. The 21st. The 20th was Easter Sunday, but we can go back to last Friday, which would have 7 days. 25 minus 7 is 18. So the 18th would have been last Friday. So here is last Friday. Contact. Sid failed with Anthropic rate limit increase after asking a question about Alejo's fan base, which most likely triggered tools to get artist fans and get artist posts. But that's a guess. What we know is Anthropic rate limit. Then we had conversation, failure on conversation, asking about Sui and DAO Ash, tool invocation failed, perplexity reason tool call failed because it did not get a response. My hypothesis for this was that we were having errors with the perplexity reason tool. We have removed perplexity reason tool. So after that, this error is not able to exist because the tool does not exist. Another one, same reason, perplexity reason. This was a follow-up on the same conversation. New conversation, failed conversation, same reason, perplexity reason. New conversation, failed conversation, same reason, perplexity reason. I tried to continue the same conversation, same result, because we weren't rolling it back, and so it gave the same error. New error, same conversation, saying we were missing a signature in the thinking field, really deep into a stuck state. New conversation.
Wait, hold on. Signature in the, what were we missing?
Messages, point 3, point content, point 0, point thinking, point signature is a required field, and it was missing. That's the actual error. Do you have any thoughts or questions that will drive importance on this?
No, I'm just writing it all down.
Copy. New conversation. New conversation. New conversation. New. Failure, object on the 22nd from content.viral text prompt. Then we had another failure, probably same conversation, failed fetch, no additional details, same bucket as object of needs more details to understand, but it was on the viral text prompt. New conversation, chat broke there, but it didn't alert. We have some times when Telegram does not send it. Before it was because messages are too long. I've still seen Telegram fail to, or I've seen the chat fail to use Telegram API to send because it's unable to locate a certain byte. And I don't understand what that byte has anything to do. But I have seen, just like what you said, sometimes chat has not reported some errors that do exist.
Okay.
New conversation, failure object off of viral prompt. New conversation, failed off a viral prompt with object. New conversation, asking about a fan base, got object. My question is Ale Araya, have we scraped them? And is this in the same group of it was using get artist fans and get artist posts? Or is this only knowledge base with no scraping? And this is going to be a different error.
Let me find out. I think. I don't want to think. Let me a second. What was the Alea? Let me see if I've scraped.
Ale Araya, yeah.
I have scraped, but I only scraped Instagram.
Perfect. And are they a big account?
They're not a big account. Well, actually, give me a second. Let me verify. I don't want to guess what a big account means.
Big account in terms of number of comments on their posts.
They have 16,000 followers, and about 100 comments per post, and we only scraped the first 12. So
it's probably about 1,200, 1,200 comments that would have been scraped. And so Get Artist fans would have returned up to 1,200 results. Get Artist posts would have only returned about 12. Get Artist comments could have potentially returned 1,000. My hypothesis for this one is too much data being sent in one single tool call, overwhelming the context window.
Got it.
My hypothesis. Any questions or thoughts that you have on this before we keep going?
Nope.
New conversation, failed conversation, object, same prompt. No comments. New conversation, same prompt, more or less, asking about fans, which would have fed into the same hypothesis that I had, that Get Artist fans is returning 1,200 results, potentially overwhelming. Too much returned in one single tool call. Tell me about Alejos fans. We got another object. Oh no, yeah. How can he build a loyal fan base? Object, potentially. Oh, how can he build a loyal fan base was the last question. Keep going. New conversation. Who is Angel Baby? Object. This one likely used perplexity ask. Depending on the day, maybe it was perplexity reason.
This was after you fixed reasoning.
After I removed reasoning?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can
go ahead.
I can pull up Angel Baby because I don't have a lot of conversations. I can probably find exactly. So I did scrape Angel Baby, but I've only been scraping Instagram. So assume I'm only doing Instagram unless I say otherwise.
Okay. Then maybe who is Angel Baby might have said, in order to get more info, I'm going to query Get Artist fans and Get Artist posts. And it might have just gone out and used those tools to have a better answer to this question.
It stopped before it even reasoned.
The reasoning would not have gotten saved, and so it wouldn't be showing up there. You probably originally saw the reasoning the first time you asked.
But then it redid it because of the new.
When you refresh the page, it's not going to be there.
Got it.
We don't save the responses from the agent into Supabase until it has finished successfully. And so if it fails during tool calls after reasoning, you would have seen the reasoning text, and then it would have stopped and you would have seen the reasoning frozen there. But if you refresh, because it never finished and it failed, that assistant message never got saved, and after refresh would have disappeared the reason.
Okay.
Anything else on this one?
Nope, continue.
New conversation, new, new with the fail of Anthropic rate limit. I think this is the 22nd, which would have been Tuesday. This would have been before I would have been playing around. So we're still Anthropic rate limit for me on how this was the prompt I learned was my key prompt for my account to get it to break. I can consistently use how can I grow my social from sweetman.eth. It calls both get artist fans and get artist posts, and it always fails. So
you also are an outlier in the amount of Twitter posts that your artist has.
Agreed.
Most artists, well, actually, no, I shouldn't say that, because if somebody that I haven't onboarded manually uses the Twitter one, then they'll also have that same problem if it finishes.
I agree with you that I am an outlier. Our current onboarding flow, all the new humans that I am seeing signed up are not going through add artist, which redirects to scrape, and then they scrape. The cases in my mind are Paloma, who went directly to chat, and Bully Meow, who went directly to chat, and they tried to ask the chat to do more and to learn more about them, but they never went into scraping. Have you found anybody else who has organically discovered us who has gone into scrape?
Yes, a couple people, but like Bully started scraping, but it's like when it just got hung up. So he assumed it was waiting, and it was going to take time. So then he came back, and he would just come back and be like, "Are you done scraping yet? Are you done yet?" So like the scraping got stuck, and I don't know exactly of what for it got stuck at, but it's just that onboarding flow of like right now, really only like we've only really perfected Instagram, or at least put the guardrails on Instagram. And so if somebody has a huge Twitter presence, it usually is probably going to get stuck on that. So yeah, I think you're an outlier, but that doesn't mean that like using your account isn't still going to give you valuable feedback of why.
My hypothesis is if anybody that you have onboarded with just knowledge base is using the chat, they will not see errors. Only the outliers like my account and anybody who has done scraping will see errors from get artist fans, from tool calls of get artist fans and get artist posts. My hypothesis is any other user should not have any errors at this point.
I like it. So let's track that next week.
New conversation. This was when you started onboarding Bully Meow, I believe. And then we've got new conversation, secondhand talent, new. This was when I started to, this was when I was doing the edit message. And so I was trying to get into a stuck state so that I could get sending a message afterwards clears that previous one and allows the conversation to continue, as well as the edit message. New conversation, new Paloma, new contact, feature request, contact, new, failed, me and my testing, get artist fans tool, failure, get artist fans tool, failure, get artist fans tool, new, failure, get artist fans tool, new, failure, get artist fans tool, get artist fan. This is me just testing, so I don't think these need to be tracked as separate. Okay. New, me again, get artist fans tool, new conversation from Sid, new conversation from me, new conversation from Sid, new conversation from me, new conversation from Sid, new from Sid, and then new from new person that I haven't seen before, Zara, this morning.
And this one right here, that the Twitter, I'm sorry, the viral post one that I had.
It also didn't reply, or did it?
This did not reply.
Yeah.
This got stuck.
Yeah. My question on these viral ones is, does it take longer than 60 seconds? Or does it take longer than 6 minutes? Is this just because it's thinking too long and we're reaching the maximum of our cells 800 seconds? Or is it less than 6 minutes?
That's a question I can easily test.
Would you mind trying to run it now? And I'll run a stopwatch and we see what either 6 minutes passes first or you get a response first.
Yeah. Should I use it with a artist that, like, should I use it with your artist or with, does it matter?
Do whichever one you think would succeed. In whatever case you think it'll succeed, whether it's no artist selected, one of your artists selected, however you've gotten it to work in the past. I just want to see if we're close to 6 minutes on how long it takes. I'm going to pull up a stopwatch. Give me a countdown right before you send it so we can start at the same time.
Let me just make sure that the prompt is good. We're going to get a tree. Content dump is tree of thought prompting for creators. Content is, or the outcome is viral, shareable, scroll stopping. Let me make sure this is good. Viral, shareable, scroll stopping. And then outcome. Delivery is conversational LinkedIn post. That's good. My goal is to outcome, generic goal. Approach is that approach. I'm just making sure that we don't get stuck because of wrong. The thinking structure is angle 1, angle 20, draft 1, draft 20, draft critique. All right, and we should be over here. What went right? 10 paragraphs. What went wrong? Call me the best delivery outcome. Perfect. Okay, cool. Are you ready?
Ready.
1, 2, 3, go.
Copy. Okay. How close does this need to be to 6 minutes for you? Give credit to my hypothesis. We've run out of time.
How close to 6 minutes? What do you mean?
How close to 6 minutes? Like, is 4.5 minutes close enough? Is 5 minutes close enough? Because sometimes it does work. And so we know it's not always that. Or, yeah, how close does it need to be is my first question in order for my hypothesis to have value.
Isn't the only valuable version of the hypothesis is if it is 6:01? Because that guarantees it's a timeout issue. If it's anything lower,
well, we've seen that sometimes it works. So it's not always 6 minutes. Sometimes it seems, if the 6 minutes is the error, sometimes it's taking longer than 6 minutes and other times it's not.
Correct. So what I'm saying is, if this doesn't take 6 minutes, but it still stops, then that is not the error.
Agreed. Yeah. If it stops and it's at 5 minutes or anything less than 5 minutes and 45 seconds, give it a 15-second buffer. If it's less than 5 minutes and 45 seconds and it has crashed, then
it's not the timeout issue.
Agreed.
All right, well, it's moving. Can you see it? No, you can't.
No, are you sharing screen?
No, I'm not. But it's going. So.
Okay, I'll keep going through. I think we've just reached the end. But since I added edit message, I have not seen any failures in here.
Great.
Other than my own from my testing of edit message. But ever since I shipped edit message and it rolls back, I've not seen any. And so what I'm going to be shipping the rest of today, I started today on Wallet API with Coinbase, hit errors where the API wasn't letting me. I moved on to CoopRex. I've shipped a couple things for CoopRex and I've hit a barrier over on that side. And so for this afternoon, I'm going to be shipping the stuff that we talked about. I'm going to be moving the tools from external MCP right into chat, which should reduce latency for faster tool calls. I'm also going to update the APIs to be smaller in their responses, making it so that when chat uses one of these tools, 1, it gets the responses back faster. 2, it's going to get smaller responses, which should allow it to chain multiple tool calls together, similar to how Manus does, rather than getting one monolithic block of content. Chat is more empowered to say, I'm going to do this filtering, get this results, and I'm going to get a couple pages and make that tool call a couple times, and empowering the chat to make those creative decisions rather than us making monolithic throws. And
It stopped.
It stopped. We are
Yeah.
at 3 minutes, and it stopped.
Yeah.
And we did not get, so far we have not gotten any reason in here. Let me pause the timer. You've already gotten a stop. Let's see what's going on in the logs to see if we see anything. So currently not thinking the hypothesis of 6 minutes is correct. We're on the same page with that?
Correct.
Let's see if it gave me a Telegram reason of why. Recoup chat. Okay. Unsupported. Error fetching rooms. This would have been on your new conversation. What time was your conversation? Your conversation was at 40, so it would have been after this. This would have been you or one of us visiting a chat. I'm not seeing any errors. We got a 200 response on the last time chat was triggered. Nothing helpful. Are you clicking into agents or is someone else going to agents?
Someone else.
Okay.
I am looking at
Nothing helpful in the logs that I'm seeing.
Here, let me share my screen.
Also, if you check this, the number of visitors,
Yeah, things popping.
stuff to look for. US is the bulk, me in Chile, a couple people in Spain, a couple people in Brazil, a couple people across the globe, honestly, trying out the product. Okay, I'll stop. Your turn.
So is there anything I can do here to help you debug?
Go to the console tab. Nothing here. And it just stopped. Can you scroll down? It's definitely not still thinking.
This is the last token.
And you can't see anything after that.
I also, it's weird because it didn't give me the error. So I can't like the whole thing that you like the fix that you did wasn't triggered because it's not viewing.
Yeah, no error was thrown. No error was thrown. It just stopped thinking. Why did it just stop thinking?
Should I say hello? Should I respond?
Try it. Yeah, see what happens there.
Boom.
Okay, now we're in the error state, and now if you send another message, it'll revert back to very first message being overridden.
But does it say what this error is now?
No, and that's something else that I need to add is right now when a 500 is thrown, we're returning back oops, an error occurred, which is not helpful for you on the front end. I want to return the actual error, so let me note 500 respond with error. That way what you're doing right now is actually going to show an error as opposed to oops, an error occurred. Respond with error. That's a great note for us to get more clarity on the debug. Why did it just stop thinking? Part of me thinks, so in our reasoning, we can set up budget tokens. You mind if I take back over and show what I'm talking about?
Do it.
Part of me thinks we should reduce c. Recoup chat cursor / do I already have it open? Go to use Vercel chat. No, it is inside of API chat. Down here, we use, oh no, we haven't even included it. So far we've given it free Rain to use however many tokens it wants in its reasoning. We can set a max number of tokens for reasoning to limit what your hack is right now of getting it to do a ton of reasoning. And we could set a max token of like 1,000 or something. So that way it stops reasoning at 1,000. Do you have any hypotheses on what happened in that last one? My current thinking is I actually have no idea.
I have no idea either. And that's okay.
Let me open up real quick. Let me open up Anthropic on our console to see how our tokens are looking for today. But I have not been doing any heavy testing on the usual things that take a lot of tokens. And I've even run 5 of those in parallel of that. So that shouldn't be the issue. I don't think what it's doing is going to add any amount of, yeah, we're nowhere close to being at Anthropic rate limit. We haven't even used 100K tokens for today. So that shouldn't be the cause. Actions from what you just did is I would like to send back a correct response so that when Sid right clicks, inspects, and goes to console, he sees potentially a better error message. Wait, you did get that error, so let me see what it triggered over here with your follow-up message. Here we are. Thinking signature. So this we've only ever seen one other time, and it was we wrote it down earlier.
Yeah, it was number 4 this week.
And let me try to find that one to see if it was the same prompt. It was number 4, so it would have been close to 18th.
It was right after a perplexity reasoning error.
Which would have probably been Paloma. Here it is. And it was me asking, did you get stuck off of, I'm creating a viral tweet about technical launch.
Yep, this is the viral one. Right?
Maybe. Did you get stuck again? Where's my new conversation message? Tool invocation. It might not have triggered because originally we weren't getting new conversations. Yes, it's potentially a viral one because no, this was perplexity reason, one of the errors. It was related to viral text. And here it is the other time that it's happened. And it was in the same conversation of me doing something viral. So I'm thinking what we want to do here is limit reasoning. Add an upper bound on the number of tokens that can be used in reasoning. Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, let's try it.
Upper token bound. So when I'll try to set that, and then I'll have you try using the viral thing. Actually, we're getting close to the end. I'll look a little bit deeper into that to see if that's it. The question I have is, what is if I don't set reasoning tokens in a budget for reasoning tokens, is there a default number that it throws in? And is this the result of that default limit being hit?
Got it. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So it's like not full reasoning token limits. It's just, but is there a default one that we're hitting we don't even know about?
Right. And when it hits that limit, does it just fail silently, not and return a 200 success, and then just not finish its train of thought or give a response?
Yeah.
Let's come back. You had said that goal is still to reduce errors. My current paths forward to reduce errors, let me stop sharing, are move all external tool calls into internal tools. For Recoup tools, limit any response to 100 instead of giving it free reign for unlimited. And have our 500 responses send the error message back to the front end so that Sid can debug, and add a reasoning token bound upper limit. Are there other things that I'm missing from here that you think I should either look at or ask questions about to reduce the errors in the chat? Or do these feel like, I guess the main question is, what is the root cause of these errors? And are we addressing the root cause of these errors, or are we putting Band-Aids on symptoms, leaving the core vein to bleed out.
It's a good MIQ.
What on my side, my weekly tasks I'm clear on for Coinbase image generation plus wallet API v2, for Base mini kit for distribution on Farcaster and inside of the Base app. 3, errors in chat, reducing the errors in chat from the list that I already have and anything else that comes up along this week. Do you have any feedback on my list of weekly tasks? Or if no, do you want to talk about your weekly tasks before we start to wrap up?
Yeah, I have no feedback. I like the weekly tasks. There's a perfect amount of non-fun stuff and fun stuff. So I'm cool with it. Let me get into my weekly tasks and what I shipped last week, where I'm thinking. I will share my screen, enter screen. So before we get into weekly tasks, I want to share. What do I want to share? Let me share this real quick. Let me pull up Superhuman and let me find the email from Anthropic. Where is it? Maybe I sent it to you here. Where's Slack? All right, well, I'll share this first, actually. So I don't know if you saw this. I shipped this yesterday. There was an error where people were starting chats without an artist selected. So I just added an overlay where if you don't have an artist selected, you can't send a chat, and it just tells you select your artist.
Oh, cool.
So this hopefully will stop people from not having an artist selected. If they don't have an artist here, then this message changes to add an artist here. So it points to there. So just kind of like the first step of like what onboarding could be, and an onboarding flow.
Question: how does that look on mobile?
Good question. It looks beautiful. It looks beautiful on mobile. No,
because right now, if you don't have an artist selected, there's no ability to open up the artist tab on the right?
Correct. So that is no longer the case. If you don't have an artist selected, it is a button that says select your artist, and then you press it, and then it opens up the tab to have you select your artist.
So you also fixed that bug in the same task?
Correct.
Awesome. That's excellent. Thank you.
Yes. So that is good to go. The next thing that I'm going to work on next week is share chats. Currently, if I share a chat with you, you can open up that chat and chat with have a conversation, but not have that artist selected. You can basically have another artist selected, but chat with the other chat that I share. So I want to change this so that if I share a chat with you or with anybody, it automatically opens the chat and selects the artist that you have. Or if you don't have it, it adds that artist to your account. That way that's like the beginning stages of me being able to set up an email funnel where I can constantly, weekly send up, like create a prompt out of an artist's, or from an artist, like what brands should I collaborate with this week? And then send an email to a user saying, here's some brands you should collaborate with this week from this artist. Continue the conversation. And then when they click the button, they open up the conversation and their artist is selected and it saves to their recent chats. So to just get people back to using the app from insights that we're finding for them. So step one is share chats, automatically selects or adds the artist to your account. Any thoughts on my thought process for that?
Question: what benefits do we have associating a chat with a human who is signed in rather than an artist? What are the benefits of the architecture I've currently created?
Wait, explain.
The statement I want to make is it doesn't make sense, and chats should be associated with an artist rather than a human. And so rather than making that statement, I wanted to open it up on the counter side to say, what benefits do our current architecture provide us? Why do we like the architecture that we currently have of a chat is associated with a human rather than an artist?
Because I can it allows me to keep my chats personal if I want to. So if I share if you share a chat with me,
Mm-hmm.
you don't see all my other chats. Wait, yeah, you don't see all my other chats.
Right.
Or I can, like for an example, right now I have Sweetman as an artist in my account, but
you don't have any of my chats.
I can't see your personal chats.
And that's about it.
I can only see them if you share them with me.
Copy.
So that's the benefit.
Copy. Okay, so in one sentence, we associate chats with humans rather than artists, so that you can have private chats but shared artists.
Correct.
Copy.
Correct. We're just missing the layer of shareability because we never had to previously.
In that case, I think I'm understanding I don't know if I fully understand the implementation, but I like your goal is to make it easier to share chats that retain an active artist instead of losing that active artist when you share the chat.
Correct. So the ticket that I'm thinking through is there's no way to share a chat other than by copying the URL. But when I share the URL, and you open it, it doesn't auto select your artist.
Yeah.
And so what I'm thinking through is creating a reusable utility function for room sharing to ensure room access, ensure artist access, and then a hook, and then a lightweight API endpoint.
Another question. The problem you're addressing is when I click on a chat link that you send an email, if I just start typing in there, it's going to look at my active artist rather than the artist which is associated with the chat, right?
Correct.
Right now in our system prompt, we are saying the active artist is X. Would this problem be easier to navigate if we change the system prompt to say the active artist for this chat is X, and instead of passing in the active artist, we pass in the artist ID that is associated with that chat? How would the problem space change if we modified the system prompt to reply to any message in that conversation with the artist ID rather than you adding artists to my account and adding conversations to my account?
I don't know how the problem. Let me think through. You
want me to show you specifically what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay, here is our system prompt. We get system prompt. The active artist ID is resolved artist ID, which is coming from the artist ID, which is being passed in, or get artist ID for room. Artist ID is always being passed in from the front end inside of use Vercel chat. We're passing an artist ID, which is coming from the selected artist ID. I'm suggesting we flip the order of this and put get artist ID first, so that if there's an artist ID associated with the room, use the one that's associated with the room as the active artist. If this is a new chat, there's not going to be an artist ID associated with the room, in which case use whatever the artist ID is that we passed, so that way there is now an artist ID that's associated with it, which is what your active artist is. This is a one-line change, so that when you send a conversation to someone, it's always going to be pulling from that conversation, the artist that's associated with that conversation's room. And then if you still want to do these other things, you can, but we are that just want to like throw this as, would this be the same solution with one line changed instead of building new API endpoints and other things?
Yes, except for, or maybe I'm not thinking through this all the way, but okay, so I send you a chat, we replace the system prompt. So now when you get that chat, you're talking with the correct artist and you have the knowledge base associated with it, right? Where does that save in the recent chats? How do you get back to that if you move away from that chat?
In that case where you send me the link and I send additional messages into it, it would not be saved in my recent chat. And so if that would not be solved in what I've just presented to you, and I agree requires additional code to be implemented.
Okay, because that was the main reason why for the APIs is or just enable going down that route was, let's just say somebody clicks in, like the whole purpose was we want people to click in and start chatting, right? And like, and then having value on that chat and then being able to get back to it. Share. We want people to share their conversation, share the artists that they're, and then other users. Okay, cool. Now I have a new artist. I can create new conversations around that artist. It's just like kind of network affecting the shareability around this, right? Like,
yeah. Another question for you: how are you considering in your current architecture if you share a chat with me, I open it up, and now I get the artist that you have? What happens if I delete that artist? Have you proposed any changes, or have you thought through what happens if I delete that artist that you had shared with me from a conversation?
I have not, but I just tested this, and the current thing that happens is that artist gets deleted for both accounts.
Right. Agreed.
So that's something we need to think through. Is like we have to duplicate the artist as opposed to sharing the artist.
We need to think through it. I agree. Does the artist need to be duplicated, or do we need to modify the delete function to just delete the relationship between myself and the artist rather than deleting the artist altogether?
Is it something I need to think through before or after I MVP?
I say ship it, and if that case comes up where someone deletes it and then they're frustrated about it, let us cross that bridge at that time. But I think your direction sounds great. No notes. Keep going.
Okay, cool. All right, next thing I'm going to share is this. Where is it? Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Oh, you can't see my screen.
Okay.
Share. Sorry. Entire screen. Bam, bam, bam.
I can see your screen. We got it on the scene.
All right, cool. So this is from Secondhand Talent. Had a meeting with them earlier this week. They are a podcast, a new podcast, and that interviews stage talent. So not the actual artists, but like the people that are working on the shows, the lighting guys, the people behind the concerts. And so they're in the middle of like trying to get growth. I showed them Recoup. The initial conversation was to have me on the podcast, but then they were like, "Tell me about Recoup," and then I showed them Recoup, and they're like, "Can we use this for our podcast?" And so I was like, "Yeah, sure." So they started to use it, and I just wanted to show you the message that I got, the email that I got, which was just
an aha moment.
Wow. And then he sent me the entire conversation. He just copied and pasted to show me like how he's using it, which was awesome. He did have some thoughts, which were very podcast niche. So one of them was an issue with recent chats, but that's because he was using a no artist.
Yep.
So I solved that real quick. The other one was like he asked it specifically, like, can you show us our can you aggregate all of our podcast metrics based on RSS feeds? And like the response he got was, no, I can't do that. I told him like, we haven't built that tool out for aggregating podcast data yet.
Yep.
And then the other thing was that they asked for the EPK, and it couldn't do images. So there's a couple of cool things that they asked for it to do, which like are like tools that we can build eventually. But they're immediate. Like this was the second time that at least I've seen that like somebody got the aha moment from their first chat. And it feels really good to get that aha moment from the first chat.
And this was yesterday, right? Or within the past 48 hours?
Yeah. This was the 24th. Yeah, so yesterday. Or they maybe had the aha moment the day before, which is great because then they continued to use the product the next day. And they didn't hit any errors. So fuck yeah. Because I think that's also contributing to them continuing to try it. Even though the tool is not giving them exactly what they want, like it's responding and telling them that it doesn't have that capability yet. And then they're emailing me and being like, oh man, I wish it did this. I wish it did that. So then finally I just sent them like, glad you're enjoying the platform. Here's a conversation that I came up with just to try to continue to nudge them to help their prompting. And so this is great. I just wanted to share that with you, like a positive feedback from musicians working and interviewing a bunch of stuff, creators who need help growth. And our product is on the verge of helping them solve it. So that's awesome. And then the last thing I want to show you is Slack. Sweet man. I don't know if you saw this. We can now use Anthropic's Prompt Tools API. Did you see this email?
I did not.
So it's in research preview. So I had to request access, but we got access to the following routes: generate prompt, improve prompt, and templatize prompt. So I'm thinking through this of like either in the back end, like helping us generate better prompts, or like have users generate better prompts. If there's like a specific function we want them to be able to do. Like, so instead of like the open-ended type in your prompt, like have like prompt suggestions, and when like they send it, like we just spin up like a better version of that prompt. But yeah, I don't know. This is just, we have access to this. It's trial. So like it'll just give us an edge if we figure it out. And then other than that, the share chats, yeah, my two main focuses other than these two is I'm going to try to implement deep research. It's just, I find myself every single new person I onboard, I have to go do this deep research stuff. And so that's like the next step of user onboarding, is getting the deep research done. And then finally, last.
So build that as a new tool, or are you thinking a different architecture other than a tool?
I'm thinking a new tool. Actually, I haven't thought that far ahead yet. I initially am thinking of like just getting it working as a button, similar to how ChatGPT has, where you can turn on deep research. Sorry, but dogs are going.
It's okay, the pups, yeah.
And then thinking through, but yeah, I just want to get it working first. And then yeah, I'll see how to trigger it. And then last but not least, where is my Notion? Give me a second. I'm trying to pull up Notion. Can you see my screen? Let me stop.
Yep.
Sharing. Oh wait, I just stopped sharing. Let me reshare. Where is? Okay, I laid this out in Notion because the founder dashboard was giving me bugs, and instead of trying to fix it, I was just like, let me just feel Notion's version of this instead of trying to make it feel like Notion instead of trying to duplicate Notion in my pipeline, like let's just like use Notion. So this is where we're currently at with the sales pipeline. So you're on the same page as me. We have 10 people in trial right now.
Mhm.
Steph, Christy, Juliana, Maria on 1 RPM, Carolyn from Big Ass Kids, Keys, Nick, and then these are like the new artists that have just signed up.
Yeah.
Our main focus is 1 RPM, and Carolyn, I have a meeting with Carolyn and her partner on the 28th to talk about what the next steps are with Big Ass Kids. She has like that community of like 500 or 1,000 independent musicians that are all trying to grow, and she loved Recoup, so figuring out how we can incorporate Recoup into Big Ass Kids or vice versa, and then just working on how to get Christy, Juliana, Maria, Stephanie to use the product more. Juliana was out all last week, or I think until the 28th. So I was like, man, how come she's not using it? She was the one that was like gung-ho about using it, but she's been on vacation. And so just trying to get them to use it more. And then just working, kind of seeing how Hail a Bully, and I have to add secondhand talent to this. Onboarding is here. I'm still onboarding Ben and Rostrum. He's going to use it this week, but we haven't officially kicked off a trial. I'm kind of like going less, just being a little bit more like passive and just trying to add value because that's like a big relationship. James, I've emailed a couple times. That was Black Flag. He used it once to generate a report, but I haven't seen any conversations. So I'm just like nudging him every now and then. And then Matthew Danger is somebody else who I have a call on Monday to officially go from onboarding to trial. And then these are all meetings that I've had. I have a meeting with Shane today, who is now working at Interscope.
Shane from the client?
So that'll be, yeah. She's working at Interscope now. So I have a call with her today. And then just nudging the rest of the people who I've had meetings with, who I haven't like really officially kicked off and onboarded yet, but it's like the next steps. And then here's our backlog. I have a meeting with Hume and Hume Records and Stoller on Monday. I added you to it.
Is David Hume going to be there?
I don't know if David's going to be on it, but I know Stoller and then their head of music is going to be on it.
Yeah, I know Hume. Have you already added me to that call?
I added you to that call, and I figured it's. I mean, they're a Web3 label, so like kind of aligns.
Exactly where I want to be, and I will add value to the call and being the dev for on-chain music.
Yeah. So that's going to be a fun call. And then Miguel and Diego are from 1 RPM that I've been trying to email. I haven't heard back. So I'm just going to, like, these are all just people I got to just kind of keep nudging to set up meetings with. But this is where we're at with our sales pipeline, like currently.
On the 28th, right? At 11. Copy.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, that is the sales pipeline, and I will stop sharing. And that's my next week, is just moving people from one tab to the next week. Do you have a meeting on
at that exact time? I have a meeting that starts.
What's better?
If it could be moved, if it could be moved an hour later, that would work for me.
An hour later, or around the same time that we
yeah. I can do anytime from an hour later up and until our meeting, and then after our meeting I'll be free anytime after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. I can also do the same time,
an hour,
any other day other than Monday.
Okay, 2:30 to 2 to 2:30 on that day. All right, so let me just move it around so on that day or the next
day. If it's okay,
yeah,
I definitely don't want to add friction. But if it's worth getting me there, then yeah, do the move.
It's worth it. It's definitely worth it because they're a Web3 label. So like they're the exact person who we want trying Wallet Kit like integrations, and we have Angel Baby in our system. I set up their accounts already. So if you want also too, I can add their artists to your account, so you have their artists in your version.
I had a question on Paloma and the bug that she saw with recent chats. You had mentioned you fixed recent chats. Should I tell her that it's already been fixed, or do new fixes need to be deployed such that she can see her recent chats?
I don't know the exact problem. If the problem is that she started chats without an artist,
90% likely.
that fix it. Then yeah, that fix has not been fixed. And I don't know
If
how
she
to
goes
fix
back
it
to
without-
visiting and she tries to chat and she doesn't have an artist, she's going to be forced to go and set up an artist. Is that correct?
Not set up. I added her. She should have an artist. I just don't think she selected it when she was having those original chats.
So she'll be prompted to select an
so
artist,
what
and once she selects, she won't see any of her existing combos, but any new combos she creates
will she'll see. So what we could do is go into her memories and just add the new artist to her old chats so that they get filled up with the new artist that she has in there so she can access them. That's like a manual task, which I can do. Add.
I would love if you took that to connect her up with recent chats because you've been focused on recent chats. If you don't get it to it by Monday, Paloma is important to me. She's a musician from South America who's using this. And so if you don't get it to it by Monday, I will go in and take your idea of linking all of the other chats that don't have an artist ID with the artist that's in her account.
Nope, I will do that. That is my job. I will do that.
Do you want to focus on him? Anything else before we go into just talk about our MIQ and then wrap up?
I think we're good.
On my side, my MIQ is if we fix the current list of tasks, will errors in chat be fixed? And also, what is the root cause of chat errors? I've got 2 MIQs that tag together. Yours?
Mine is what is the one thing that I can focus on that will improve chat retention? Boom. Easy. Sweet. All right. Look at that. Oh, I got to wrap it up because I was in the beginning. Okay, sorry. Thanks a lot, everybody. Like and subscribe, share, and hit retweet. And